So Coach Stone is all the way up there in Illinois. He's got a lot of stuff to cover that we're going to talk about, from coaching football to learning about coaching football to coaching in Australia and all sorts of stuff. So, Coach, just kind of tell everybody, where you are, where you grew up, how you got into football, and how you love it, and all that stuff.
I grew up in hometown, Illinois, a real small town right outside Chicago. They say Southside Chicago. Then I decided to, my parents decided to move in eighth grade to, or I'm sorry, seventh grade to Burbank, Illinois. It's right down the road, right by Midway Airport. And then, I was playing football at hometown, just like as a linebacker, tight end, youth football. And then I decided, then I didn't play no football until high school. And then my brother, he's like 5.5 years older than me. He played quarterback at Oaklawn High School. But when we moved, I went to Revis. And for some reason, they're like, this freshman year, they're like, it's kind of like when you're a youth coach, right? They're like, you just get thrown into it. They're like, who can throw a football? So I was like, I mean, my brother played, and they're like, who's your brother? And he's like, oh, he played at Oaklawn. And I'm like, yeah. And then, so I just threw a football, and then they're like, oh, you can play quarterback. So I went home, and my dad was like, what position you play? Tight end, linebacker? I'm like, I'm playing quarterback. And so that's when I became a quarterback. I then played 2 years at Revis High School. First junior year, well, freshman year we were 6-3. Sophomore year we were 7-2. Junior year we were 5-4. Wish the rules were changed like they are now, where a team would have made it 5-4. And then we were 6-3, and we won a really great game against Mike O'Neill and the Andrew Thunderbolts. And I remember seeing the guy after I came back from college, because he said I gave him nightmares, because on the one play at the end of the game, I literally scrambled. I wish I should show you the video, PJ, because it's on VHS, of course, because I'm so
Of
old.
course, me too.
Yeah, I'm in my 40s, where I literally scrambled from one end of the field, ran back, ran back, ran back. I literally ran back and got on a 3rd and 8. I got the first down, and we won the game. We were able to kneel the ball.
Oh my
And I
God.
don't know why I kept running back and forth, but I was like, if I don't run back and forth, and I'm like, we can't punt this ball again to this team, because they were really good. And I couldn't believe it. I remember my dad was so proud of me. And after the game, the Sun-Times, the Tribune, and the Southtown Economist all interviewed us.
Uh-huh.
Interviewed me and my head coach, because I didn't do any interviews the whole senior year, because they said we were going to go 1-8 and 2-7. So I literally, in my sock every game, I had all the things. So I opened them up and I showed them and everything. And they were like, I'm like, sir, this is yours. This is yours, sir. This is yours. I'm just saying, we're in the playoffs, and we're 6-2. I mean, we're 6-3, blah, blah, blah. And it was pretty awesome. So, but then I went to college, went to BC in Kansas, got a scholarship, played for Larry Wilcox. He's retiring this year. Um, and then they decided that they didn't need a lefty quarterback. So I went to Loras College, and I played there for 4 years. I actually, my first year there, I went in for a senior in the second game of the season, drove us down like 30, 40 yards. And then on third and like long, I wanted audible, because we were doing a play action pass. We're doing like 86, whatever. It was a play action pass where they come across the middle. And I saw the blitz, and Coach Berry's like, no, don't call it off. And I didn't call it off, and I broke my ankle in half.
Oh,
So, and yes. And it was like, I don't have a piece of paper, but imagine, like, if this is your ankle, right? I did it, and I had Kevin Coy in the backfield, the fastest man in Iowa at that time. Okay, and they had Thunder and Lightning with Shane Davis, and he was a really great back too, and they were both seniors. And I'm not lying to you, the one guy came in, grabbed my leg, and I'm trying to pull out of my leg, and the other guy like literally topped me off, because that's the guy's stiff arm, the first one, and it literally went all the way back, and then went all the way back.
oh,
And that was the first time I'm ever majorly injured, PJ, from all
yeah.
the times I got hit. Like, because in the South Side of Chicago, we had a lot of stud athletes, like Antoine Rendell L, Marvin L, Ty Streets, all those guys that would crush me every week.
Yeah.
Not lying to you, I tried to stand up, and my leg just went, and then they're carrying me out the field, and my ankle's just dangling.
Oh my gosh.
So that's how you do. You go from Kansas to NAI to transfer to Loras. You play a couple plays, and then luckily they won the game against Platteville. And then it took me all the way until about April, I started walking again. And then that following year, I actually broke a school record. I was pretty proud of myself. Oh, it might have been the year after I broke the school record for most touchdowns in a game. And I do want to say this. I only threw the ball 12 times, Coach Miniak, because he was our offense coordinator.
Yeah.
And he's the head coach now at Loris. And the guy that beat the record threw it like 60 times. Touchdown record. So I only threw 12 times, 11 for 12. And I still have that thing in my, like, we have that framed in my room. Like, you know how you have all those football
Your touchdown
things?
to attempts ratio is a lot nicer than his.
Yeah. And what's funny is the paper interviewed the guy that dropped the ball, because I threw a play action pass and the guy dropped it. So they asked him about in the article and he dropped it. And then what's really funny, and I apologize about this, but I remember I had one rush for 38 yards. I literally dropped back and I scrambled and I scored a touchdown, just like, you know, like back in the Andrew days in high school. And then the last touchdown was the first possession in the second quarter, because I tied the record at halftime with 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I was like, whatever. Then we get to the 50-yard line and I see what they're doing. And at this time, guess what? Coach Barry's letting me audible. So I audible to fades. And I'm like, oh, this is it. UD, like, because UD and Loris is huge rivalry. And I throw one to him. They call it back. We do the same exact. We call a play. I audible. I throw it to that guy. Score a touchdown. And then I go to the ref. I go, listen, ref, you're gonna throw. Listen, you've thrown 2 flags on me already. I'm gonna throw it to this guy this time. If they come on this front, I promise you, I won't even run down and celebrate with them like I did with the other 4 touchdowns. I will literally just walk off the field. I will literally just walk off the field and I will not come back and play. And he's like, okay. So I did it. Bam, threw it to him. Touchdown. I walked off the field I was so happy. And oh my gosh, my dad, God rest his soul, because he passed away. I think that was, if your dad, if you're listening and you have dads that like loved when they watched you played.
Uh-huh.
And I remember when my dad passed away, when I came back to Revis, and they said they always remembered him standing up there yelling at me because he was next to the press box. I'm telling you right now, it was one of those MasterCard commercials.
Yeah.
I remember too, because when I got done, he said 2 things to me. He goes, son, you realize you were 5 or 10 yards short of breaking the all-time rushing record as a quarterback. And I'm like, Dad, I didn't know. No one told me.
Exactly.
And he's like, you know, that guy could have caught that ball for you. And he's like, it was right in his arms. Because that's the thing, because like we were talking about the picture, that's the picture they show in one of the newspapers in Dubuque. They show the guy dropping the touchdown pass, you know, so it was pretty funny. But then, you know, I played there and it was awesome. I got injured my senior year right before working out. And I played the last game of the season. And I remember Coach Barry saying, you know, I wish I would have played you more when you got better, you know, and he was very happy with what I did, because I drove down my second from last possession from my career. I drove down, scored a touchdown, and it was a great feeling. And it was at Warburg High School, not the college, because they were just getting turf that year. That's how long ago that was.
Yeah.
So
good old carpet.
Yeah. So that's my high school and collegiate career. And then, you know, what I would tell you is, you know, and PJ, we talked for probably like an hour before this, or we've talked numerous times. I love football, and I say it on my Twitter, and you have to love this sport so much. And if you don't have if you don't have if you have a significant other, like a wife or a significant other, it's hard on you, because like, you know, in the stands they're talking about you, or coaches or whatever. And here's the thing, and you know this, if you're winning, nobody cares.
Nope.
You could be like yelling at the kids, like old school style. Like our youth coaches would be fired or in jail right now, right? And like nobody would care. But as soon as you start like losing,
hold on just a second. My computer's getting ready. I got to plug the computer in before it dies.
No,
I didn't
you're
realize
fine.
it was that low. Like just faded out on me. Okay, I think this is
How you
okay for
doing?
now. Um,
You're fine.
I swear I'm more organized than this, but like I was literally
No, you're.
looking down at my battery. I was like, okay, I'll be fine. I'll be okay. And then literally
Well, the
that time,
problem is we started talking so long.
yeah, yeah,
You know
that's
what I'm
all right.
saying?
Yeah. So I looked down and all of a sudden the screen started fading out. I was like, crap, it's in that battery reserve moment.
Yeah.
And so the the audio mixer thing is plugged into the kitchen because my house is so old that my dining room doesn't have a plug-in in here. But
Oh, really?
this is basically my dining room. So the audio,
That long? Wow.
yeah. So the audio mixer is plugged into the kitchen, and the computer is plugged into the living room. So the computer's sitting in a chair right now, and I'm sitting on the bench at the dining room table.
That's funny. You
So
know
it's
what's
the
really
best.
funny? Like, I don't know what your house value property out there is. I literally got a job in last November before COVID. I could move to a new middle school in Colorado, take all the kids,
Uh huh.
the wife and everything, and they would let me like start in a brand new school, Brighton Middle School, and then I would coach at the high school, right, with Wayne Voorhees, and I'd be up in the box for him. And then I found out, I'm like, this is awesome, babe. We're leaving, like we're getting out of Illinois, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, Colorado, this is awesome. Then we found out in a 100-mile radius how much houses were.
Yep.
Guess how much my house goes for in Colorado if we just took the whole thing and put it over there?
Probably about 1.1 million.
Yeah, it was like $755,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
And guess how much I paid for my house in Rockford? $100,000. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Okay,
No.
you want me
So
to start back
so
up then?
no. So yeah. Yeah. So back up. We were talking about how you finished that game.
So I finished the in at Warburg, right?
Hmm.
Because like my last game was really cool, and this was really cool because I've told other people about when I spoke to this. So I get done with the game, right? I'm literally walking off the field, shaking everyone's hand, and who, lo and behold, coming towards me, Bill Deasing, former great Loris College offensive lineman, former GA, former assistant coach at Loris. Coach tight ends, quarterbacks. I'm sorry, tight ends and running backs. And then he went to Rockford College to be the offense coordinator. Well, I shake everyone's hand, and the thing he says is, "Hey, how would you like to be a college football coach?" And I said, and I mean, like my career's done. Like I've just walked off.
Yeah.
I just had my last thing. We just lost, and he literally offers me the job, and I thought it was awesome. And I was like, well, like, what do you do? And remember, we don't really have cell phones back then.
Right.
You know what I mean? When we're doing it. So like I literally waited till I got home off the bus, called my dad, because my dad's like, he was the person like Marine, you're doing this, you're like, I didn't go to Tri-State Indiana, Tri-State in Angola, Indiana, where he wanted me, where
Right.
they were gonna give me more money than Benedictine. But like, I did that, and I call him and he's like, college football coach. You can make some money on that. I'm like, no, Dad, I think it's going to be like, it was 25 cents an hour
Pretty
after all said and done.
much.
But
Yeah.
I got my education paid for free, and what was really cool, and I don't mean to like segue into it. I had an indoor football tryout
Uh huh.
the same day I had with the Chicago Rush. That was their first year ever.
Right.
That I had to try out for them. I tried out for them the same time that the same day I had the interview up in Rockford. So I was like in the Rosemont area. We were like doing in the indoor like bubble area, and we had like there's so many people. And my dad went because he wanted to be my agent, right? And I decided never to do that again. So when I did sign later on down the road in Rockford indoor, I had my brother be my agent. But so I'm doing a tryout, and it got so to the point of my dad had to leave because I was there for so long.
Yeah.
Because you just imagine being with a whole bunch of people. Like I was 116, I think, or yeah, I think I was 116 the first time I tried out. The second time I was like 183. So I was like in shape still. I was doing great. Boom, 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 and I'm throwing the ball around. I made it all the way to the end where there was only like 20 people. Like we could actually move inside the indoor arena,
Hmm.
right? Because we started with like 40 quarterbacks. It's kind of like my first day at BC in Kansas. Oh yeah, we're only going to recruit you after we're done, blah blah. And then 23 show up,
Yeah.
in NAIA, and then all of a sudden there's only four of us. Bill Lindquist that went to the Chiefs that started. And he was a sophomore and I was a freshman. So I'm like, I'm not staying behind a guy that's they don't play with guys 1 year. There was me, there was Jamie Smith, and then Stewart. I don't want to say it was Little, but I'm almost positive it was Stewart Little. I'm almost positive. He's from Louisiana, nice guy. We never got along. I'm not lying to you. We never got along because we were
Right.
both freshmen. But so I'm doing the trial with the Rush. Every time they like start cutting people away, I'm just waiting. They said, if your number's called, you can leave. And then one guy got mad. I'm like, if they call me, I'm gone. Like, I really don't care. I'm done. My dad's like, he's like a Gigi Gaga because he's like, he's got a shirt already. They gave him one of the tryout shirts because the guy didn't show up. So,
Oh my gosh.
so he's there, and then he leaves because I think he had work or something. And then I made it all the way to the end, and then I had to call him and say, you know what? They told me I can come back next year because I didn't do it, but I did a good job. They only signed one guy out of everyone.
Right.
They made it like bank because everybody had to pay $50. So then I had to call, like after the second cuts, I had to call Rockford University, Vic Clark and Bill Deasing, and say, hey, I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late because of this. So then all of a sudden I get there. I'm in my ripped jogging pants. I'm in that shirt, wearing that Chicago Arena shirt, and it's just got like the U with the arena and the Chicago Rush on the back 116. Walk down to the basement, got my suit and tie in my back. Vic Clark sits up like he's so awesome. He's like sitting up and he's like, okay, so Bill told me over here that you played quarterback and you just got done with your trial. How did that go? And this and that, and blah blah blah. And he's like, you interested? And I'm like, yeah, it'd be great. He's like, okay, let's go do this. So we go watch film, and they just put up their old film from last season, their first year ever. And he's asking me questions like, what coverage are you in? I'm like, they're in cover 3. He's like, how do you know? Because I said this. You're looking at this guy, and then before it even snap, you already know this guy's bailing just by. I call it DEA, depth, eyes, and alignment for the corner. I go, you just see it, or you see the feet, like that guy's blitzing right there. He's like, because they'll say like, which guy's blitzing or this and that, and I'm like, is this a trick question? And he's like, no, who's blitzing or? So I'm telling him all this stuff, and then I go up on the board, and Bill Deasing, Coach Deasing, again, thank you so much for getting my first college coaching job. He's running the same offense we ran at Loras. So like, I already know it, and I ran it at Loras for 4 years. So, and I would help him out if he had a question ever, like who to read or things like that. So I go up there and I draw some stuff up, and then Vic goes, so you want, then we go back to I think we went back to the room before he offered me a job. But then he just offered, like, I kept asking, do you want me to change? Do you want me to change? And he's like, nope, don't need you to change. We'll just talk, And I literally got the job in ripped jogging pants and my indoor football shirt.
That's
and
awesome.
Then they took me out. They took me to the weight room. They took me to the cafeteria and ate. And I literally, this is when I had a cell phone, right? Because I just got a cell phone because my dad's like, you're driving stuff. I'm like, Dad, I got the job already. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, Dad, I'm not even wearing a suit and tie. And he's like, well, you don't like wearing a suit and tie. I'm like, I know, but I'm just telling you, because I never wore a suit and tie. I literally wore shorts because I'm a PE teacher. And
Right.
people are like, why do you wear shorts all the time? Because I'm a PE teacher. I move around. I don't
Exactly.
sit on my butt. With this we have an absent pause in our school district right now. I hate it because I love Zooming with the kids. Like some people won't, but I'll Zoom with the kids and I'll move around. You know what I mean? I won't move around majorly, but I want to move around. I don't want to be that gym teacher who just is like this. Yep, roll the ball out or something. I want to move around, play with the kids. I know I'm in an elementary, but even where I teach, I want to move around and do it. Even when we're doing football drills, I tell the kids at the high school, I'm like, I don't want to throw the ball. I'm just showing them what to do. And then when they're like, oh, well, they call you out, and you know how it is. We're old school. I don't know if you're old school.
Yeah.
When you call me out and you say I can't do it, then I'm just like, give me a football. And then I just throw it and knock it over to the garbage can, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done. And they're like, or like they're like, wait a second, you want me to throw the ball 25? You want me to drop back 3 steps, boom, turn the shoulder, cock throw, upside down handshake, and throw it right in there? Coach, that's impossible. And then I do it, and I loved it because the first time I did that to a Boylan quarterback, I actually hit it right. Like I didn't hit it inside it. I hit close to it, right? So I was like, yeah, that was me. But even though I was like, pray to God, please Jesus. But then the last year, just recently, when we were back and we were just on that, IHSA called it like contact days during October and everything. One of the two quarterbacks goes, you know what? I want to see you do this because, I don't believe it. So I did it. And the first try I did it. And then I played off like I still got it. But I was like, you know what? I don't care. it's one of those things though. But
That's
it
why
it,
coaching
it was
kids is so
amazing.
cool because they're
Yeah, it's
they're
great.
astonished by anything you can do.
And I love when I'm sorry, I love
No, you're
when I
fine.
see a kid do something that like they tried in practice or nail it or hit something,
Mhm.
and they do it in a game. They just like a play action pass where how you fake it and all of a sudden the guy's wide open. Like we talked about it earlier at one game, Freeport.
Yeah.
We did a jet sweep and the guy was wide open. I mean, the kid couldn't believe it. So that's awesome though. So
Let's take
yeah.
a commercial break real quick, and then we'll get into
Okay.
your arena and your company.
Sure.
Wrong commercial.
My daughter bought 3 seasons of Amazon, 3 seasons of Paw Patrol.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, we this is the fifth time it's happened.
Why does she need to do
So
that?
and
Why
here's
can't you just go to
well
YouTube
we
and
bought
hit Paw
we
Patrol?
we bought Noogle. We bought Noogle. It's like
Uh-huh.
a Noggin, and so it has all the seasons on there.
Uh-huh.
Well, she's buying them so she can see them on her tablet, and
Oh,
I'm just
Lord.
like, oh my god, a 4-year-old that knows how to like get
Purchase
past
stuff.
all these things.
Yeah. My son knows once that buy button comes up, nope, you hit cancel.
Yeah, we learned that the hard. My oldest daughter, we learned that the hard way. She bought something. It was like, oh my goodness.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, Trip has bought stuff before, and we've had to call Apple and get it reimbursed on iTunes.
My wife's like, once you get off the thing, you got to call Amazon ASAP. She said because she bought 4 seasons.
Oh, my God.
So
Well, so
yeah.
tell us, so how did you go from college coaching to arena?
So okay. So what happened was, and like I said this earlier, like football's like a drug. Like I love football so much,
Mhm.
just like you guys are listening. It's like a thing where if you're like, here's a great example. We didn't have it in the fall. I missed it so much.
I can only
Like
imagine.
it was burning. Oh yeah, it was burning inside of me. And everyone's like, "Oh, this would have been our year. This would have been our year." But like we went to the quarters 2 years ago. Last year, we went to the semis. We were looking for big things. You know what I mean? And the kids are buying it. When you have kids that buy into a program, and our head coach does a great job. I was just like, I was wishing that we could have played in the fall. We can. Hopefully, we'll be able to play in February.
Uh-huh.
But it was just you did that, and then going from you know, we we played, and then I played college. I was coaching college football at Rockford University. 2 years was up. I decided to just go into teaching because I met my wife on the college campus, and I used that for all my recruits because my wife is gorgeous. And it brought in a lot of recruits too. Just so 14 the first year and like 12 the second year. uh, but
Perfect.
what I yeah, right. So I decided to go in just like regular like coaching high school, and I was young and dumb at the first time I went, and I went to a school and it was not a good fit. And then I just bounced around to like that's when I left that school, I went to another school, and then I decided to just wait. And then my dad got diagnosed with cancer, so I decided to play football again, and I played semi-pro. And again, I just went there just to be on the roster. But then I started becoming the starting quarterback, and I started like doing things like 3 touchdowns or 2 touchdowns or whatever, right? And we were pretty good at the Pirates. And then I'm sorry, the Gladiators, because in the Gladiators I played like 2 seasons there, Gladiators and then Pirates. And then all of a sudden this indoor team in Rockford came. And I was thinking indoor football, this is pretty cool. You know what I mean? I tried it with the Rush.
Right.
It's a step down. It wasn't AFL one. It was called the IFL, the Ironman Football League, I believe it was at, or IFAF. I forgot what it was. But I tried out. I actually we they had everything. They had the bench press and everything. So I bench pressed 225
Mm-hmm.
10 times. As a quarterback, that's pretty good, right? There was an All-American linebacker, and Coach Richards was the head coach at the time, and he's yelling, and he's like, "God bless it, Stone over here is a freaking middle school teacher, football coach at a middle school, and you guys can't even do. You're an All-American. You just got done. You can't even do that." I forgot who it was he was yelling at. So then he's like, "Stone, get up here again." Well, I did it again the second time. Here's the bad thing: 1, 2, 3, boom, the bar went on me. I snapped. Like, I don't know if you could tell, but I don't have a armpit anymore.
Oh my
because the muscle went into my rolled all the way up to here.
Oh my.
So I literally knew I was done. Like, thank goodness I'm a lefty, right? So it's the opposite arm. I probably took more like whatever it is, ibuprofen I've ever taken before.
Yeah.
I called my chiropractor and I said, and Brand Hospice, thank you so much for doing this. I said, listen, what do I do? I'm in excruciating pain, blah, 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 this, blah, blah, that. He's like, does it hurt when you like do this or your throwing motion? I said, I got to like drop my arm. So I was dropping my arm and we were still in the second part of the tryout.
Mm-hmm.
So I still had to throw. And then they go, do you want to continue? And I'm like, yes. And I'm not lying to you. It was like a Rocky moment. I went out there. I was like 2 for 3 or whatever. I handed the ball off. We drove down the field. I did great, I thought, right? Yeah. They call the people out and they're calling like this person. And like, there's like 10 local guys. And then there's like probably 50 people or maybe more. And the news is all there. 2 local guys were really good. I'm not lying to you. They were way better than I was, but they weren't playing quarterback. They were playing something else. And then we had Ryan Allbacher and Ben Stanke and Anthony Stone left as quarterback because they got rid of all the other ones, right? So we're 3 in there. And Ryan was a former indoor player. Ben Stanke played for the Cleveland Browns, and he was a stud quarterback, no offense. And he was a starter for a long time that whole year. And I'm not lying to you. Like, they called my name, and it was the greatest feeling ever because with the Chicago Rush, I did it twice. First time I made it all the way to the end. The second time I got cut in the first round because I was a college coach and I was done.
Right.
But when I got back into shape, and I did those Rockford Raptors. And it was when they called my name, and Rick just goes, listen, we don't take 3 quarterbacks. You busted your butt. You're doing great. I love what you're doing. Blah, 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 this, and it was I don't know if it was a charity case because I got injured or whatever, but then they signed me to a contract. But before I signed the contract, I had to go to their team doctor. And I said to their team doctor, I said, listen, my dad's died of this cancer. I promise I'll only play 1 year. I go, this is shot. And then he's like, well, if you get surgery, you'll be like this for like a certain number of months. You only get 20%, but you won't be able to play this season. I'm like, listen, I don't care. I go, I'm doing it. Boom, boom, boom. And it was all bruised up for the most of the time. And
yeah.
I'm not lying to you. I loved it. And a little side story about my indoor thing. We got paid $50, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember not getting a paycheck because I didn't show up for team breakfast. My first child got born. So I decided to sleep in, and I slept in the hospital because at 12:36, Jade Stone came out, and I had a game and everything. I was all in my suit and tie and everything. And I told Ryan Rohrbacher, I go, tell coach I'm not going to make it. Coach, all the coaches congratulated me when I got to the game. And they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna keep your check too. And I was like, oh, well, I mean, it was only $50, so I didn't care at the time.
Yeah, who cares?
But it was awesome. And like, it was the greatest experience. Like, coaches there were great. And Coach Jones was our offensive line coach. He eventually took over when Coach Richards left. And then they brought me on as staff at offense because there was one game when Coach Richards was there, I would be on the headset telling them like what I'm reading because like I love indoor football because once you put those guys in motion and everything, these guys have to either backpedal or whatever because if they don't, you could just go boom and run that X choice we used to always call it or the screen to that moving receiver or that moving receiver screen he would crush him and he would back up and just go straight. And it was a great time. And I want to say we were in not Virginia. We were like in not Georgia, but we were down we were somewhere in that area and we played and they put the headset on me because the other quarterback didn't show up. And then the one quarterback said do you mind being on the headset? And then the coaches let it and it was awesome. And I don't know, just blossomed from there. And I used to coach for 3 years or 2 years. I coached football all year round. It was the greatest feeling in the world.
So you would coach arena league basically?
Yeah. After I stopped playing that 1 year, I they started halfway through the season. They fired the coaching staff. The coaching staff left, and then Davy Jones took over, and he goes, "Hey, I want you to come help with this and come out." And then I became the OC, and then eventually the DC after the fact, like down the road, because I was the following season. So what happened was, I coached middle school football because I was a head coach because I created the football program there, the Recent Owls, and then I would then coach arena, and then I'd come back around and then coach middle school again and then come back around and then coach indoor. And then that's what happened.
That's awesome. I wish
yeah, it was phenomenal.
Most of us were lucky enough to do something like that. Coach football year round.
And traveling was great. Traveling was great. You go to hotels and everything. As a player, as a player, you roomed with 2 or 3 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then as a coach, like I would do the lights out with the coach, because I remember when we were players, I would go to bed on away games, right? The 3 other guys would just go out like partying.
Yeah.
They're like, "Stone, come on with us," and I'm like, "No, guys, I'm good. I'm just like, I don't need to go." They're like, "Oh, you're chicken or whatever." I'm like, "No, not really. We got a game tomorrow." But I was just maybe different. You know what I
Exactly
mean?
right.
I always I was getting paid league minimum, but I was also having so much fun doing it.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey,
So
before we get into your Australia stuff, let's take one more quick
sure.
commercial break, and then we'll get into Australia and Coach Stone football.
All right, sounds good.
All right. So, how exactly did you start to do um, your own company? How and why, and then
Okay.
what led to Australia?
All right. So in 2016 winter, I got let go from a company,
Uh-huh.
and I was in charge of a whole regional master trainer thing. I was in charge of a bunch of stuff. What happened in January in 2017 is a lot of youth programs asked for me to come back. And I said, my job is terminated. Like, I just got a phone call out of the blue, like, "Hey, you're done." And I'm like, "Did I do anything wrong?" "No, you were great. We're going in a different direction." I'm like, "Oh, okay." You
Oh,
know what I mean?
sucks.
So then what happened was, and here's what I'm gonna tell you, PJ. Who did it? My company.
Uh-huh.
It was a sign from my wife. She says, "Why don't you create your own company?"
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And she's like, "Call it Coach Stone Football. Back to the basics, because you're trying to do things like that." And then like I have a podcast called Coach Stone, and guess who my wife named the podcast Coach Stone Podcast.
Yeah.
So I combined my love for teaching and passion for football to create Coach Stone Football. And that was in the spring of 2017. And I had like 2 camps, and the purpose of the books is to, or because I do books and football camps,
Mm-hmm.
to teach skills, techniques to improve players' confidence through basic drills while having fun. You know, um, this year in March, I actually created a football coaching accreditation program for Gridiron Australia in Australia. And the Gridiron Australia runs like all the states that run football for flag, tackle bar, and gridiron football. They call it tackle football. So they asked me to create a program so all their coaches have to take that test because they wanted something unique and something great. And it made my books come to life.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't have had a company after I got let go. Because here's the other thing too. When I was working for a company, I did not start back coaching. I stopped coaching when I got hired with them because I'm not going to go somewhere and speak to like PJ, coach like you, and say, "Okay, do this because it's the right way to do it." And then they would be like, "Coach, do you run it?" I'm like, "No, I do something totally different." And then so I went to Rockford Boylan. My wife said, because my head coach recruited me through my wife, because he's like, "Why isn't your husband coaching?" And my wife's like, because he was away because of USA football and things like that. And the only reason I went there is because they became that certification. So they weren't that until I got there.
Right.
And then, so, and, they were really good to me and everything. It was just how it all happened. And it just fell into the lap and it was awesome. And then, the one thing I noticed is youth coaches, they would get thrown into the mix. You probably had this with your kids.
Yeah.
We don't have a soccer coach. So you know what? You're going to become now the MSL soccer coach of the year for youth
Yeah.
soccer, right? So with my books, what I did was it's got all the tips, drills, tricks, schemes, and like it's from all ages for youth all the way up to high school to college to even the
Mhm.
pros could use it. And I hope this is okay. I actually have the books here. You want to see
Yeah.
this? You want to see how funny this is? So the first book was the Green Book. And a lot of people don't know about the Green Book, even though it's sold a lot of copies
Yeah.
in 2017. So it's 585 pages. It's over 100
Jeez.
drills, right? And it's got the 4 aspects, right? Offense, defense. I'm sorry, 5 aspects: offense, defense, special teams, tackling, and turnovers. Because if you do that stuff, you're good.
Yep.
Then because I was on Creative Space at the time, they got bought out, so I couldn't make the books bigger. So I eventually, these are all the volumes for tackle. So there's that many books. So, and each one is a different volume that has different stuff from the green book. And so if you're a tackle football coach and you're looking for drills, tips, or tricks, like the learning triangle, the Coach Stone learning triangle, right? Mm-hmm. It's like probably one of the popular things. Like Glazier even had me talk about it. You have positions on top. Teach everyone positions, even at whatever level you're at. You teach them gaps and holes. You teach them defensive and linebacker techniques. Defensive line techniques and offensive linebacker and linebacker. If you teach those things right there, you will be able to defend the run better, defend the pass better, or run the ball better, or defend the pass better. Because if you get angles on people, mm-hmm. and we were talking about this earlier, if you get in certain offensive formations and the defense has 5 over here and 6 over on this side, I'll just keep the one finger up, but you have more players on this side, which way should you probably run? That way.
Right.
And that's what the book talks about, like making sure you have your invisible line in the middle with the center and nose. That many players on that side, that many players on that side, just expose the stuff.
Right.
You know, if they balance defense, then it's like, then it's a chess match. You know, and then I have the other books, like I have the cool thing is I have the biggest flag football book, you know, and this book and my volume 3 book, my special teams book that I showed you, I didn't show you the cover, but they won awards. They're like the top selling books because they sold over thousands of copies like right away when they sold out. Uh-huh. You know, and I have a mom's edition of book, a quotes book because of all the COVID thing. Uh-huh. Coach Ricky Upton and I did a junior edition book where, like, you know, ages 3 to 6. So if you have little kids, about throwing it, like the basic little things, like, and it has a checklist you can do as a parent and things like that. I have a football clinic notebook, you know. I have a football clinic notebook where if you go like the Glaziers or something, you know, it's got one of those things where you just fill it out. Because here's the thing.
Dude, that's what I've always been looking for, is something like that right there.
PJ, I'm going to send it to you. How about that?
That's awesome.
You get it. It's yours.
You just got blank formations on the side.
I'll mail you
on
one
the other side.
But here's the thing. I don't want to autograph it because it'll go down in price. So, but here's the thing about this. So how I made this clinic notebook, it's 2 reasons. Ready for this? Uh-huh. When you go to Glazier or another place or Nike or whatever, or when you're doing these online clinics now, you have these notepads, and like your son right there, they color this stuff, right? They love the color. They want to, hey dad, let me draw a play for you. Yeah. But then they do different crayons that you can't see. So I made this book that has offense, defense, and then all about like the culture or whatever, or weightlifting. Yeah. It's got like just a notebook. So it has 3 different things. Okay. And it's enough pages to fill up. Like, you would have to go to every single Glazier clinic for a whole week, like for a whole 4 days, just to fill this one book up. So just imagine how long it would last for, you know.
I need one of those.
And then I had a mom editions book, and then I have a tackle bar book with tackle bar. And then recently a coach asked from overseas, he's like, I need a DYI book. So I made a flag book, DYI flag playbook, a DYI tackle playbook, a DYI drill booklet, and a drill notebook. So it's a big one. The DYIs look like this. They're like, this is the flag one. It's really big because that's what the coach asked for. The playbook, really big. Oh, I got 2 flag books. So that's the flag book. And then there's the notebook they asked for. And then what I like, I don't know if you like to do this, but I like little books. These are the same books, but I like taking this to practice and then putting all my notes in there. Yeah. Because I love to write down notes because we don't have film all the time. And I'll use my cell phone to film everything. I will film everything. And then I'll use some like apps that will like just like do a thing where it'll like help them coach them up, where I can just draw stuff and be like, hey, turn your wrists more and things like that, because every second on the field counts.
Of course.
And that's why I created my books, and my books, pretty much what you just saw, came to life and created a coaching accreditation program that next year in 2021 will be available for youth coaches, not as big as Australia though, because Australia is huge. So, but yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to show you all the books, but at least you got something out of it, right?
Oh, of
get a
course
brand new
I did.
book.
Of course I did, because that's kind of what I've always been wanting. Man, I wish somebody would instead of these little, 6-7 page notepads that they give us, something a lot more concrete. So
Yeah, you'll like that book too, because instead, like, you know how you have the index with the chapter?
mhm,
What I did was I just put like topic one, offense, boom, and I left it blank. So you write it in. So then when you go to the page, then it's got like a little template. And that's my thing. Like, the one thing with my books is if you post a picture online of the book that you bought it or something, some of my books, like the tackle ones and tackle bar and flags and like all the main books now, like the DYIs, they have bonus content.
yeah,
So like my mom's edition book that sold really well, it's like a pocket book.
mhm,
It's these two books sell pretty well. This one doesn't have any bonus content because it's got all quotes, like it's motivational quotes, like
mhm,
something you want to read or give to your players. This mom's book, the moms love it because it's so small, it fits into a purse, and that's what my wife wanted.
yeah,
And then it's got so much bonus content. It talks about the triangles, the arch, the insertion schedules, what to look for at practice. Should the kids like, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, coach, but if you're laying on the ground, one guy has a ball, and you get up and you hit each other, how is that realistic?
it's not at all.
Yeah. So
Stand
why
that
would we
drill.
teach a kid that? Yeah. It's like, why would you even teach that drill? I mean, I know they're bringing back some of these drills like this or this,
Yeah.
or like, remember how like you do remember when I guarantee you
Oh,
remember this. We're on
Bowling
all
green.
fours right before the game. And no, well, that one too, but
Yeah.
before the game, you know how we have our shoulder pads and we're like hitting each other like this?
Mhm.
Now they got some places, some companies where they're like doing shoulder pushes. And I'm like, a shoulder goes up, back, and forward. It doesn't go down. Your shoulder should never go down. That's how you injure yourself.
Yeah.
And drills aren't made for toughness. I mean, I don't know if I apologize if you don't agree with that.
No, no,
But
you're
if
good.
you're trying to make a kid tougher by a drill, you're in the wrong avenue. You know what I
He's
mean?
not if you have to make him tougher by a drill, then he's not playing hard enough in practice.
Correct.
Well, coach, I appreciate it. We're coming up on about 45 minutes here.
Perfect.
I appreciate you coming on and talking to us about your story and kind of getting your word out. And if you need anything from Coach Stone, all of the links are going to be in the bio and the show notes below. Go check out his website, go check out his podcast. And if you need something from him and that you can't find on his website or you have an idea, then, please let us know and find him on Twitter and follow him as well.
PJ, hey, thank you for letting me be on the podcast today. And as a thank you, like I'm going to send you a book.
Okay.
You can do it however you want. I'm going to do this right now because I do this whenever. I don't know if other coaches do this, but whenever I'm on a podcast, one, it's an honor. Thank you so much. Two, I appreciate it. And three, I love giving out free stuff like I told you
Yeah.
before we talked. So any book you want. I know don't ask for the strength book. The strength book's coming out before Christmas. It's
Okay.
already ready to go. Just waiting for the cover. But any other of the books they saw, you get one book. You get to like whatever you want to do. They have to like it or hashtag or retweet your thing, and then you can pick a winner a week later. They get to pick any book they want, and you can do the spin the wheel or whatever how you want to do it. You give away one book, but I'll send you a book, and then I'll send that person a book too if that's okay with you. For having
Absolutely.
me on. Thank you.
Absolutely, man.
It's all about going back to the basics, man.
Yeah. Thanks so much, man.
All right. Thank you, coach. How was that? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great. That was great. So you see the 5-year-old decided to get up out of bed.
Hey, that's okay though.
So,
Listen, that happens. You know why?
Wanna,
Because Dad, you're supposed to be laying there with him.
exactly. I'm supposed to be.
You're
So
supposed to be. It's your fault, not my. Well, it's my fault. You can throw me under the bus.
now you're good. Well, hey, I appreciate it. I'll text you in the morning and I'll get this thing up in about 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Okay,
I think
that's
that's what
fine.
I'm supposed to.
Yeah, and whatever you want to do for your giveaway,
Okay.
like you have to subscribe. Like subscribe because
Mhm.
your podcasts are different than mine, right? I have a company that does my podcast, so all I do is I just do phone. I just send it out, and then boom, and then I talk to not Steve. Who's the other one that was just on? Crap. We're gonna do I don't know if he
Schefter.
told you. We're gonna
Mhm.
do the beard
Yeah.
man,
Yeah. That guy.
the beard. Yeah, we're gonna do a multiple podcast. We're gonna have all of us on one podcast, like my podcast, your podcast. We're all gonna do all at once.
That's awesome.
So I don't know if he told you that, but I
No.
brought up that to him, and he's like, that's a great idea. And I'm like, yeah, let's get, because I don't know if you know this, one of my podcasts, I had like 12 guests on for every day of the week for like, I had Hog Chat, Texas Football Chat, Florida Chat,
Oh my God.
Peter Noonan I had on from the hanging, the thing. So I had all those guys on, and we like just went down the row, like, Monday Twitter. And I said, hey, why'd you start your Twitter? And I just went down the list, and every coach answered. It was like an anniversary show.
That's
So
awesome.
I thought this one would be cool too. And I said, I told him, I said, if you want to do it on yours, it's fine, but mine's only on the phone. I mean, I know we're all good looking,
Yeah.
but so I'm a lot skinnier. I wish you saw my face beforehand. You know what I mean?
Mine's all audio. I don't do any YouTube stuff right now.
Oh yeah. So you don't do anything. You don't do video or nothing.
Nuh-uh.
Oh yeah. So like, yeah, it's amazing. So, I just do a phone in. They give me a phone number to the podcast
Mhm.
place, and they just say hit record, and then boom, you're done. And they put it up like 2 weeks later. But like I said, if you want any of the sponsors on the bottom of my website,
Uh-huh.
I recommend you get Knack on though. The Knack bag guy, the Keith Briscoe. He's
Okay.
got this backpack. He's got this backpack that is phenomenal. Like I got one right over there.
Uh-huh.
It's so awesome.
I'm
And I
all
don't know if
about
you ever heard of
bags.
a Nomadic, huh?
I said I'm all about bags.
Yeah. So like maybe you can ask him like, hey, if during the podcast, maybe do like a 10% off, and then you give
Yeah.
me 5% or something. Don't tell him I said that, but
No, I won't.
that's what I would do
Don't
with
worry.
them. Yeah. Because my sponsors are like certain things. So I would say like, don't just try to get a free bag out of them. You know what I mean? Just things like that. But like if there's like one sponsor, like a Second Skull, and you're like, Stone, can you, the vice president send me one? I'll be like, yeah, I can get you one. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So,
I'll look it up for sure.
but yeah, thank you so much. I'm going to go and see if my wife's awake. I got to turn our baby cameras on because we got like 2 of them down here.
Yeah.
So, you have a good one. And whatever you need,
Uh-huh.
tell me, and then just shoot me your address. And if
Okay.
it's okay with you, I'll send you your book when you put up the podcast, because
Okay.
then I can just mail both out at the same time. It's cheaper for me if I mail them out both at the same time, because I go through Amazon. So
Okay.
it might take a little while too. So I apologize.
No, that's fine. No worries.
Because I know the guy that won the Texas football, the Texas high school football chat. I ordered his December 10th. He gets it on January 5th.
Whew. Okay.
But if he bought it on Amazon, he would get it tomorrow. You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's insane.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much.
All right. See you, bud.
Bye.